Pooja, a newlywed bride, steps across the threshold of her in-laws' home with her eyes full of 1,000 dreams of a fresh, new bride. But on the very first night of her marriage, something happens that shakes her to her very soul. A horrifying truth she never could have imagined, even in her darkest nightmares. Terrified and broken, Pooja musters the courage to pour out her pain to her only hope, her sister-in-law, Kamlesh. But instead of comfort, she receives a resounding slap across her face as a reward. Pooja collapses to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. Why was such a great betrayal and cruelty inflicted upon a new bride? This story will shake you to the core and leave you with a profound lesson. But to understand how that horrific night came to be, we need to turn back the pages of this story a little. The true center of this story is Kamlesh. Kamlesh is a responsible housewife who manages a large, extended family. Her family includes her husband, a young daughter, her mother-in-law, father-in-law, a silent grandmother, and her brother-in-law, Aaron. For Kamlesh, Aaron is not just a brother-in-law but more than her own son. Time marches on at its own pace. Aaron is now a young man and the whole family is looking for a match for him. The girl they are going to see is named Pooja. Having completed her BA in English honors, Pooja wins everyone's heart with her words and confidence. When she sings an English song in her sweet voice, the entire family becomes smitten with her. Aaron loses his heart the moment he sees her. But in that room there was one person whose face showed confusion instead of joy. Kamlesh does not like Pooja's modern and outspoken style at all. However, faced with Aaron's happiness and stubbornness, Kamlesh is forced to give in, albeit reluctantly. She agrees to the match. That very same day, a grand ring ceremony takes place, almost like a whirlwind wedding. Aaron's ring adorns Pooja's finger. But no one knew that these joys were guests for just one night. The next morning, Kamlesh is traveling somewhere with her mother-in-law in an auto rickshaw. Suddenly, they notice a large, noisy crowd on the road. Some people are protesting in the streets. Then, amidst the crowd, Kamlesh spots a face that makes the ground beneath her feet give way. She flares up publicly and orders the drama to stop immediately. Burning with rage, Kamlesh strides forward. She snatches Pooja's hand and brutally pulls the engagement ring off her finger. In one instant, she breaks the relationship that had been formed just the day before. When Kamlesh returns home with this storm, all hell breaks loose. Kamlesh's husband confronts her, saying she must clean up the mess she has thoughtlessly created. Poor Aaron pleads and tries to reason with her, explaining that Pooja's thinking isn't wrong. But Kamlesh is blinded by her pride. She refuses to listen to anyone. A little later, a beautiful and emotional turn occurs. To save her relationship and explain her side, Pooja herself comes to Kamlesh. She apologizes very softly and says that if we don't stand up for what is right and for the rights of others, this world will slowly come to an end. Kamlesh, though old-fashioned at heart, is pure at heart. She feels the depth of Pooja's words. Her heart melts and she says with a smile, "I understand things a bit late, but once I do understand, I never leave the side of what is right." Saying this, Kamlesh, with all her heart, returns the ring to Pooja. Finally, the wedding trumpets sound and Aaron and Pooja are united in marriage. But amidst the dazzle of this wedding, a problem lay hidden. On the wedding day, Pooja was extremely unwell. Due to a high fever and body aches, she was in a bad state. Even during the rituals, she could barely stand, supported by medication. After the wedding ceremonies are complete, that night arrives, the night every new bride considers the most beautiful night of her life. The wedding night. Aaron enters the room and, after some formal small talk, begins to get close to Pooja. Pooja, broken by pain and fever, tells Aaron very clearly, "I am very unwell. I have a high fever and my entire body is aching with pain. Please, not tonight." But Aaron is possessed by the demon of lust and the pride of being a husband. He ignores Pooja. Despite Pooja's constant pleas, tears, and refusals, Aaron, in the blind intoxication of his masculinity, forces himself upon her. The new bride's golden dreams are cruelly crushed on that very bed. The morning rays entered the room, but Pooja's world had been plunged into eternal darkness. She lay there, moaning in pain and shock, just crying. Aaron tries to silence her as if it were a trivial matter. He says arrogantly, "I am your husband. It is my right. This happens after marriage." Hearing this, the pain inside Pooja erupts as a scream. Sobbing, she looks into Aaron's eyes and says, "You have violated my right." Shocked by her words, Aaron pauses. But instead of feeling ashamed of his vile act, his ego is bruised. Burning with anger, he says, "If you think I did something wrong, then go outside and shout it out to everyone." Saying this, he cruelly pushes Pooja out of the room. As the crying, trembling Pooja steps out, she sees Kamlesh standing in the courtyard. Kamlesh is talking to some women from the neighborhood and family. Pooja overhears Kamlesh saying, "Women aren't as afraid of a bomb blast as they are of becoming a spectacle of their own honor." That sentence pierces Pooja's chest like a poisoned arrow. She immediately understands that in this society and family, if she speaks out, she won't get justice. Instead, her own honor will become a public spectacle right here in this house. Defeated by the fear of society and shame, this once lively girl who fought for her rights swallows her tears and silently returns to that suffocating room. Deep in her innocent heart, she clings to the hope that perhaps Aaron will realize his brutality. Perhaps he will admit his mistake and apologize. But when she sees Aaron's attitude, the last remaining ground slips from under Pooja's feet. Pooja was already in unbearable pain. But Aaron, calling his lust love, forces himself on her once again. Pooja is broken from the inside. She understands that what the world calls the love between husband and wife is, for her, nothing but marital rape against which she is powerless. The next morning, Kamlesh notices Pooja standing silently by the rooftop boundary. Seeing the emptiness in Pooja's eyes and her silent face, Kamlesh's heart skips a beat. Despite Kamlesh's repeated questions, Pooja does not reveal the horrifying truth of that night. Kamlesh understands that something terribly wrong has happened, and without asking too many questions, she takes Pooja to her parents' house. Arriving at her parents' home, Pooja thinks that perhaps a mother is the only one in the world who can understand her daughter's pain. Alone, she tells her mother the whole truth of that night and about Aaron's cruelty. But the answer her own mother gives is even more horrifying than Aaron's brutality. Instead of embracing her, the mother explains, "This happens between husband and wife. You are married, so you have to go through with it. What was there to say no to? This is how families and lineages continue." Hearing these words from her own mother's mouth, Pooja is stunned. Her mother finishes off what little was left by emotionally blackmailing her. Reminding her of the family's poverty, she orders Pooja to return to her in-laws immediately and threatens to kill herself by slashing her veins if Pooja doesn't go back. After this betrayal by her own family, poor Pooja has no path left. Like a living corpse, she starts to return with Kamlesh. During the journey, at one place, Pooja gets out of the auto under the pretext of using a bathroom. It is the biggest decision of her life. She does not look back and silently runs away from there. Kamlesh searches for her frantically everywhere, but there is no trace of Pooja. When Kamlesh returns home with this news, the family is in a state of panic. Everyone searches for Pooja, but she has vanished into thin air. Defeated, Kamlesh calls Pooja's friend, Sona, who works for an NGO. Sona says she doesn't know anything about Pooja but will try her best to find her. Finally, Sona's search is successful. She finds Pooja sitting silently in a corner of a deserted park like a frightened child. When Kamlesh arrives, Pooja gathers her courage and pours out the entire brutal truth and cruelty of that horrific night to Kamlesh. But Kamlesh, who has raised Aaron like her own son for years, lets her blind faith outweigh the truth. Instead of listening, Kamlesh's pride shatters, and in a rage, she delivers a powerful slap to Pooja's cheek. She screams, and practically dragging Pooja brings her back to that prison. Even though Kamlesh slapped Pooja, as a woman, a seed of doubt had been planted within her. Meanwhile, we see that amidst the beautiful valleys of their honeymoon, Pooja is completely desolate and terrified from within. She tries to talk to Aaron one last time, holding onto a final shred of hope. But in Aaron's eyes, there is no love, only the lust of a hungry wolf. Ignoring Pooja's screams and tears once more, he forces himself on her. Poor Pooja can do nothing but writhe and cry on that bed. The person she went to reason with, thinking he was her life partner, turned out to be nothing but an executioner. That night, Pooja fully understood that in Aaron's eyes she was not a wife or love, but merely a lifeless object to satisfy his lust. Pooja's life had turned into a living hell. One night, trembling with fear, Pooja locks herself in the bathroom. Outside, Aaron pounds on the door, ordering her to come out. Inside, frightened Pooja cries, "I can't come near you tonight. My periods have started." But how could anyone stop the lust possessed by a brute? Aaron's answer is enough to chill any human soul. He says shamelessly and cruelly, "Don't lie to me. Open the door, I want to see." Hearing this, Pooja's blood runs cold. She understands that this beast will not listen to her. In the midst of this fear and helplessness, Pooja's eyes fall on a blade kept there and the scene cuts. The next morning, there is chaos in the house. Everyone learns that Pooja is in the hospital in a critical condition. The entire family rushes there in a frantic state. Aaron cleverly misleads Kamlesh and the other family members, saying she had some internal women's problem. Perhaps that's why this happened. But when Kamlesh goes inside and speaks with the lady doctor, the truth the doctor tells her not only makes the ground beneath Kamlesh's feet give way, but shakes her entire being. The doctor reveals gravely that there are deep cuts from a blade on Pooja's private parts, and her condition is due to severe bleeding. Hearing this, Kamlesh is stunned. She quickly composes herself and sends the family back home, saying she will stay with Pooja. When Pooja regains consciousness, she sits with Kamlesh and, drowning in tears, pours out the bitter truth that drove her to such an extreme. Hearing this pain, Kamlesh is broken inside. That night, when Kamlesh returns home, she goes into the bathroom to feel Pooja's pain. She picks up the same blade. She places it on her own skin, trying to do what Pooja did. But the slightest prick of the blade makes her hands tremble. She throws the blade away. In that moment, Kamlesh deeply realizes just how much fear and pain that innocent 21-year-old girl must have endured to inflict such a horrific punishment upon herself. The next day, when Aaron arrives at the hospital draped in his shamelessness, he learns that Kamlesh has already discharged Pooja and taken her away. Despite his wife's serious condition, this ignorant fool has only one thing on his mind. He shamelessly asks the lady doctor, "So, can I be intimate with my wife now?" Hearing this disgusting question, the doctor's blood boils. She has seen Pooja's horrific wounds and knows who is responsible. She erupts in fury at Aaron and shouts with full force, "You are a vile and disgusting human being. Animals like you deserve to be shot." She immediately calls security guards and has Aaron pushed out of the hospital, warning him never to show his face near her hospital again. Pooja, who entered this house with 1,000 golden dreams of marriage and a new life in her eyes, now sees her existence transformed into a horrific hell where her own husband has become her greatest criminal. What Pooja endured in the name of love and right was worse than death. But now that Pooja has returned from the brink of death and has found support in Kamlesh, who until yesterday stood against her, what happens next? In your opinion, what step should Pooja take now? Should she forgive Aaron, or should he receive a punishment that sets an example? Do share your opinion in the comments. Please like the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can be notified as soon as the next and most important part of Pooja's story arrives. See you very soon in the next part of the story.